Gethin, really good session yesterday. It's great to hear you swinging the golf club as well as you were, and some of the scores you have around Wenvo. I can't see any reason why you'd be sort of shooting in the sort of low 80s and towards 70s sometime soon. But if we can look at this drive here today, just a couple of points to run through we discussed in the session. One thing I'm not sure I did mention, but your distance from the golf ball, sometimes with that drive it gets a little bit too far away. Now, when you're standing with an iron, your arm will be hanging down kind of here, and your 7, 6, 5 or 4 iron will be in a position somewhere like that. We want to try to get the same kind of position with the driver, just the obviously angle of your arms will be the same, the club being a bit longer, the club will stick out here. That will give you a little bit more control, and that will actually encourage the move that we were trying to avoid with this sort of rotating and folding with the arms. Okay, if we look at the takeaway now, going back, the move we were trying to make as a practice drill, sort of sensation, the club going back, kind of with the club face staying, looking at the ball. This movement here now, we've got a kind of what we call toe up position. That club face itself is probably sort of 90 degrees now towards your target line there, so the face sitting over here, and that would be kind of your target line. Ideally speaking, the fact that your spine angle is just slightly over the golf ball, your club face now should basically mirror your spine angle. With that club face now being a bit toe up, we'd call that club face a bit open. That was actually what we felt to you as a closed position from here, then back down to the golf ball. Okay, that is a better position here with the club face now. More on this line, more in line with the shaft. What we do when the golf ball gets there, however, get a bit more rotation. The club's a little bit faster. What I'm going to show you now, as you get to about here, we can kind of see the logo, on your glove. So the fact that your glove logo is pointing up means your forearms must have rotated quite a lot, and also the fact the club face, you can see now, has gone basically behind you on a very, very flat position. So because of that position now, the club face is sort of opened up and rotated. When you're at the top of the backswing here now, as you come back down in an attempt, I think more so to try and maybe stop it going this way, because that was the sort of shots we're getting on a predominant basis, and also the feeling that you get when hitting the ball hard, it comes sort of the left side sort of pulling through. As you come to the golf ball here now, everything's sort of spinning out left, the club face is left a little behind, and that golf ball now starts on a fairly good line here, as we can see, but the left to right spin that you've created just spins that ball off the right there. So we have to work on that club face as we come back into it. But if you can work on that sort of takeaway with this club working back better, starting a little bit nearer to the golf ball, once that becomes dialed in, we can then start focusing a bit more on the sort of through swing / impact and get that feeling and a focus specific to that. As you know from your background in coaching cricket, we can't think of 3 or 4 things at once. We're going to think of one thing at the moment. So getting your setup a little bit better, arms just slightly hanging down, not quite pushed away so far. And then in terms of the takeaway now, just feel the club face here. It starts off facing at the target like so. As you swing back, you keep that club face pointing in. We don't want too much forearm rotation. You can see the left arm sort of moving away and out, kind of in this position as the club then kind of whips behind. And when that happens, you're just getting your left arm and open up the club face as a result. And when you come back to the golf ball, the face points over here, no matter how far left you swing it in this direction, the spin's going to be created, the ball will just spin off to the right there. And you lose a lot of distance. I mean, you're hitting a 4 iron and a 5 iron, basically about 200 yards. Then we got the driver, it was going like 210, 220 was the absolute max you got, just because of the glancing blow you're hitting. It's almost like you're sort of bowling a slower ball. You're putting the same amount of speed into it, because the way you're sort of releasing that ball or swinging that golf club, the energy to the back of the ball is a lot less. So work on that takeaway. Like I say, get some videos sent over to me if you want to when you're on the golf course at the Wenvo or wherever you're playing, or down the driving range, so we can look at that takeaway looking better. And then next session, probably in a couple of weeks' time with a bit of practice going in, we can then look at this sort of through movement and downward swing, try to get the feeling of how this club comes back to the golf ball and squares up more effectively with that driver. And once you start getting that driver in the bag and starting working together, the scores are going to come flying down. It's not going to be a club you're going to use a lot, but if you can use it 5 to 8 times a round, and that's going to potentially save you half a shot a time, there's sort of 3-4 shots that we could be shaving off your golf, your scorecard, maybe even a bit more, just by giving you a chance to go for par 5s in 2, get a lot closer on par 4s, maybe even drive a couple of par 4s around Wenvo as we discussed, or the 3rd, the 6th, the 11th possibly, but the angle doesn't sort of shape very well, or the 12th. It's just potential now for your scores to come down just by making the game a little bit easier. So work on that takeaway. Any questions, obviously give me a shout, and we'll catch up with you soon. Cheers, mate.